It's the Modern Farm Podcast. Back at you. John Mitchell and Darren Root back in your ears.
Hey, John.
Darren, we're already at that time of year where we're starting to talk about what's under the Christmas tree. And
tell you what, you get past Halloween and it's on.
It just moves. My kids are at that age now where I remember hitting this age myself where like the gifts change and they go from little things to like a MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
Really quickly.
And what I've learned is they go from MacBook Pros to vacations.
There you go. Yes. We try to give more experiences than stuff.
Yeah.
But it's funny, Reese can make a case for how many experiences he can have on a MacBook Pro. So,
well, I don't blame him. That's a good call on his part.
That's a good call. Well, speaking of MacBook Pros, today's kind of just a whimsical podcast. I think an opportunity just for those of you who maybe are getting a little bit of a break during the holiday season as we move forward to just to talk a little bit about gadgets and about the stuff that really is going to change. Darren, I think about all these little things that we're going to talk about as just incremental little changes in our lives and the way we live that add up over the long run.
Yeah, this one might be bigger than incremental.
Yeah,
it's hard to say. I mean, right now what I think we're seeing, John, is everybody's launching some version of their AI tools.
Yeah.
And so at this point you have, whether it's Apple Intelligence or, ChatGPT or whatever it might be, getting included in new products. And apparently, and maybe this is just a great selling tool, apparently you need the right technology to make this work the way to make this work the way you want.
That's the way Apple loves it. They love for you to have a specific type of infrastructure. And honestly, they have it set up just perfectly as long as they can launch the new AI stuff. Yeah.
I've been going through and updating this fall. So in the last couple of weeks, just really getting myself ready for this next wave, not of products, but of software, right? Yeah. Of capabilities. And I never like to be really on old stuff anyway, but, just getting ready for, what AI is going to be doing on our devices in our daily lives. I'm not talking about like cranking out tax returns or something. I'm just talking about in our daily lives.
Yeah. I think that's the exciting part to me about what Apple's rolling out, to be honest. I think everything up until now with AI felt like this work productivity thing and maybe some fun little things that you can do on the side. But now we're talking about Apple, as they always do, trying to make our lives easier, our day in, day out lives easier. And I guess just to be honest, maybe this is too honest as somebody who's supposed to be hosting a podcast about gadgets, but I'm not exactly sure what it's going to do for us yet. I'm confident that it's going to do some things, but I'm not sure yet.
Have you downloaded 18.1 on iOS 18.1?
I have, yeah, but I haven't played with it a ton yet.
It's there's not meaningful change for me that I've noticed.
Yeah.
But I could feel it coming.
Yeah, they're like setting you up.
Yeah, it's not like, oh wow, this is all of a sudden I can do all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's it's pretty minimal. Yeah. But I think it's going to be, gosh, just think if you're Apple, you have a runway now of every development cycle just making this better and better and better, and people will stay engaged.
I absolutely agree. So a couple of weeks ago, our friend TJ and I, TJ works in the space in labs and at AI, and he just said to me, I keep remembering every day when I wake up that AI is worse today than it will ever be. It is moving so fast. And man, we know that. I mean, just a year ago, where were we? And so I'm excited. I think as far as just what Apple's bringing out, to me, it feels personal finally. That AI feels like it's less about the corporate world and more about what happens in my house. And I think that's interesting.
You know how much time I spent yesterday, John, engaged with Apple? I'm sitting here thinking back. I mean, pretty much my whole day. So clearly I have my new iPhone. So, it's with me
Yeah.
all day. But I go play tennis in the morning and I play tennis in the afternoon. And I had and we'll talk a little bit more about it, but the new watch,
Mm-hmm.
with a killer strap on it. Well, I can talk about that. But then I came home, last night after finishing up everything, and I watched Apple TV. If you haven't watched the new series Lioness,
Oh, I've heard about it, but I have not
oh,
watched it yet.
I finished it last
Oh,
night,
wow.
but for me, I stayed up till like almost 1
Oh, wow. That's a
a.m., which,
huge
I'm like an
endorsement.
8:30 person.
Totally. Yeah.
Because I just couldn't. I had to figure out what was next. It's like
Oh, man.
lioness is like these women CIA operatives that
Mm-hmm.
are special in the CIA. So it's that whole covert craziness stuff. But it was so good. I spent my whole day with Apple.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I got my AirPods in right now. I'm using my MacBook Pro to record this stuff. My phone is sitting on my desk. I mean, they have me.
Yeah.
And if it's not Apple, maybe for you, it's Microsoft or it's Google or it's, it's Samsung, it's somebody, but man, we are wrapped around all of our technology right now. And little changes make big differences when you're wrapped around it like we are.
So let's talk about some of the gadgets that we think are kind of interesting. And we've probably talked about a few so far, but
let's jump. I mean, you already kind of made the segue into the Apple Watch. I don't have the new Ultra 2 yet. What are you loving about it?
It came out with a slightly bigger face.
Yeah.
So I'm not an all day Apple Watch guy. I like some nice watches,
Right.
and
yeah, they're not pretty enough for you.
Right, but I bought the Ultra 2 with that new titanium Milanese band. It's almost like a metal band. The problem with my prior Apple Watches is I would wear them playing tennis or walking or something, and I sweat so much that they would all be soaked. This Milanese band, this titanium Milanese band, is fantastic. Because it doesn't retain water. It's not wet after you get done. But I don't know. It just has a bigger face. It's a dark color, so it's that almost black. The Milanese band is black, but the Ultra 2, a little bit bigger. Great color. Couldn't recommend the Milanese bracelet more highly. It's just fantastic. Really is.
Let's jump over to something else so it doesn't look like we're doing an Apple commercial here.
Kind of hard.
I know it is. Well, I do want to talk just a little bit about how webcams have changed our lives and how important they are. The Logitech Brio 4K camera, which I have at home. I am on the new Opal right now, which I think is going to revolutionize some things. It allows you to, if you're listening to this won't help you, but if you're watching this, you can see my background is real soft. So it gives you that sort of a dynamic feel to your camera. It feels a little more just high end.
I use the Brio at home too, John. And I'm in Florida now, and I'm on my MacBook Pro, just built-in camera.
Yeah.
And I think there's just such a quality difference.
There really is.
That Logitech Brio.
And there's just so many new things you can do with backgrounds. And man, I'm so tired of the green screen background thing. I'm ready for a new way for people to be a little more classy with their
how do you like
shots.
my new background?
Your background is real. That looks like you can't get that anywhere but Ralph Lauren. So
yeah, it's I like the way it finished up. But
yeah, there's some great things that that remote work has driven in the tech industry, including cameras. I think they're better than they've ever been. I also think, I don't know, Darren, if you're probably not following the VPN developments, but there are, with all these streaming platforms, if you use YouTube TV, for instance, YouTube TV is using your IP address to figure out where you live to give you your local television shows. So I can watch the Colts because regionally it makes sense for me to watch the Colts. But, last week I was in Chicago and they wanted to show me the Bears game and I was on YouTube TV. So instead I jumped on my VPN, told them I was in Bloomington, and all of a sudden I can watch the Colts game. So the VPN basically allows you to be wherever you want to be in the world, and to hook up to whatever IP address makes sense for you in that time. And it does a lot of other things too, but what it's causing is some real security issues and some real infrastructure issues with streaming platforms and all of that. It's also just a great opportunity for me to protect myself. The virtual private network I can jump on at the hotel and not feel worried.
So in the old days, we used to use VPN. We would dial into our VPN at our office, our virtual private network, and then we would launch, applications. So how is that? I don't use one now, John. How's that changed?
Well, I'm gonna show my stupidity really quick because it's changed drastically. And by the way, you're not dialing up into anything, and it's a software driven.
You're still dialing in, aren't you?
No. Even at the cabin, I've got Starlink at this point. So, right. But yeah, it's a software driven application now that will allow you to. I use NordVPN. That's my favorite at this point. There's a lot of good ones out there. That's the one I like the most. But I can on my cell phone. I can be somewhere and not be able to access the television show I want to watch because I'm in the wrong region or whatever it is. And I can go and pull up a map of the United States or a map of the world, and I can go and zoom in on the city I want to hook up to a VPN in. And so, I often use Chicago or Indianapolis.
So this isn't your fixed location VPN like our offices were.
No, so this is virtual VPNs
all over the place, right?
Yeah. They have different ways for me to basically associate my IP address all over the world. And the truth is that's not the best reason to use a VPN. The best reason to use a VPN is security. Basically what happens is if I hook up to my own private network, then I've got this layer of protection. If I'm at the airport or if I'm in hotels all the time and my hotspot on my phone isn't working right, I can know that I will be secure if I jump onto a network and run it through a VPN. I even do that with my cell phone service, just to make sure I'm safe.
So, I'm normally pairing my MacBook Pro to my phone, like if I'm at a hotel or at the airport or something. And you're not doing that. You're hopping on a VPN.
It depends. There'll be a lot of times. In fact, just this past weekend, I was in Chicago and I was up high and didn't have access for some reason. My AT&T did not have enough access for me to get a fast enough internet access. So the hotel obviously has good Wi-Fi. It's fast, but it makes me nervous. So I went ahead and logged on to the Wi-Fi through my VPN and fired up my VPN. So I know I'm protected. And I know I can, again, Risha and I watched the Colts, even though they wanted to show me the Bears. So, yeah. So, I think there's some software coming out right now. And I always think it's interesting, I'm driven by work and how people are working. I always think it's interesting how so much of what's coming out is driven by how we work now. VPNs are a part of that. The new cameras are a part of that. Our microphones, it used to cost, this microphone I've got in front of me right now is a Shure mic. This was a $5,000 microphone 10 years ago. And now it's got a USB-C cable. I plug it into one device into my computer and I'm up and running for $300. And all of that is driven by the need for us to be able to have good quality audio and video everywhere. So.
It's probably worth our listeners taking that away from this is, we have moved so much virtually.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just hybrid, but maybe it's all virtual, however it is for you. Thinking about what the experience, how somebody consumes what you're putting out.
Yeah.
On the other side of that's important. So whether that is, high quality Brio camera, a great mic, how are you putting this out? So those are two good recommendations, John.
And Darren, nobody ever logs into a video call and goes, boy, I was really impressed with their video quality. But you feel it. Now I do that because I'm a media professional, but most people don't see it, but they feel it. And when somebody is taking care, I've got a blue light back here behind me. I've got I've got a key light right here. I've got a fill light over here. All of those things are providing an experience that is part of what a customer begins. It's table stakes at this point to be able to create a good audio visual experience for people on Zoom.
It's funny you say that, because I was on a insurance call yesterday with one of the largest agencies in the U.S. out of New York, and they were both. So we were on Zoom, and they both had that virtual background that like shows up, 80% of your hair, but then if you move,
it's not my favorite. Yes, I hate it.
I'm just thinking, just zero. Am I not going to get insurance from them? Probably not, but it's just like, geez.
It matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's now become an extension of your brand. And I think it's a really important thing. And it's never been as easy or as inexpensive to do it well. Darren, when you first met me, I owned a video production company where if you wanted me to go shoot your video, I had to load a pallet on a semi truck to get all my equipment there. And now I can put it in my carry-on and show up, and I think we're at a point where it's never been easier to do this with quality, and now we've got 6G threatening to come out in the next 24 months for sure. 5G is going to become just, again, table stakes.
So I saw 6G was around 2030. You think it's going to come out sooner than that?
Well, I think it just like everything else, we're going to see little experiments done with 6G throughout. And Darren, if we get to 6G and it's ubiquitous, we are in a totally different communication world. And what I mean by that is, if Elon Musk can figure out how to get us 5G, 6G in Starlink, and we've got people that have never had cell phone service in third world countries who all of a sudden have full communication capabilities throughout the world. Now we've got education opportunities. We've got healthcare implications. We've got a way to bring the world together that is far beyond the little conveniences that we're talking about at Christmas.
Yeah, I was reading an article on 6G, John, and NVIDIA seems to be playing a big part in sort of the background of that, and how those towers and how those signals and all that stuff is going to get served up. And
NVIDIA is definitely one of the major players. But then you've also got people that have never been necessarily into that side of the communication space who now are getting into it. People like I know this sounds futuristic, but it is real. The holographic industry is really becoming, they would love for you to be able to see Taylor Swift in 6 different cities on the same night. And when we talk about 5G, 6G capabilities, we're talking about enough data to be able to put her band on a stage somewhere. And those are the kinds of things that will drive us faster. 2030, I think 2026 is probably the earliest I've seen that we'll start to see that, but it's going to be driven by commerce like everything is. And if it looks like there's an opportunity, they'll microwave that for sure.
Well, so far we've talked about a bunch of gadgets that you and I love to have. So new MacBook Pro, high on my list. With the M4 Max chip that will really enable, a better use of AI on my laptop. Already picked up the iPad, the newer version with the nano glass, John.
Oh, it's beautiful. I've seen yours. Beautiful. I don't have one yet, but yeah.
I love it. And the iPhone. So all 3 of those have been great. They've been fantastic.
Apple's made a big play for sure.
They have. Yeah. The Brio camera, I think, if you're going to do, a lot of video conferencing kind of stuff, fantastic. Not expensive at all. I don't think the Brio's much, is it?
No, it's about $250, I think now. The Opal's in the $250 to $300 range. I would look at both of those. I think the takeaway from there is, personally at home, you want to make your office an extension of your brand. If you're working from home, Darren, I can't express enough how important it is to have a good experience on video. And it may be an afterthought for you, but it is at the forefront of your brand to people that you're talking about like that. And it's never been cheaper. And I think this is a good opportunity to, one of the things that's cool, Darren, I was just doing a firm retreat at an accounting firm, and they gave, as part of their gifts, they only had 11 employees, but as part of the gift for their team, they're all virtual. They gave them a camera and one of those little lights. I've got that name too here somewhere. Elgato light.
Okay. I think I've seen those.
Yeah, those little Elgato lights plug in, and they go right to the monitor. And so it was like this nice little gift, becomes theirs. They own it. They can use it at home, but it's a good extension of the brand. Those are the kinds of things, you'd never think of even 5-6 years ago before the pandemic, as corporate gifts. It's a good idea. So.
Yeah. I mean, just the whole world of connectedness, of device connectedness, AI connectedness, just all of that. I mean, it's just, we're entering a new phase. And I think 2025 is going to be a fun year to see what evolves.
I really do too. I got a daughter in medical, headed towards med school. She's in biology right now in Chicago, and constantly interested in the advances in medicine. And then I've got ailing parents who are getting older, and especially my dad. And I'm noticing how technology is coming together with medicine to provide new ways for us to take care of people as they age. And London just keeps sending us stuff. Dad, don't miss this. Don't miss that you can get Papa an Apple Watch, and you can know when his heart rate is too high. You can get that notification yourself and not have him have to wait, and those are important things as we move forward.
How's your dad doing with adopting some of the new technologies?
What's so funny about my dad is he is quick to adopt, but also very quick to be frustrated. It's the goat tracks conversation. It's the whole creating new paths in your brain is hard for him. The funniest thing for me is, out of all the new stuff, and he's got an Apple Watch, he's got an iPad, he's got a phone, and he's got all the new stuff.
That's fantastic.
The thing that drives him the most nuts is passwords. He just can't keep his password straight. So we spend most of our time helping him with a password.
LastPass, John, LastPass.
He's got LastPass, but it's just a mess for him. And
if it's just passwords, maybe he could use the new password app in Apple's iOS.
That's the idea that we're going to get him set up with, because he's all Apple now. So I think that's going to help him. But I'm proud of him. He's not scared of this stuff. I think mostly because I got kids and that will help him, not make him feel stupid. So he knows he's got to fall back, and I think that's a big part of it too.
I went out. I wanted to move all of my stuff from LastPass to Apple's new password app. And as I dug in and really kind of started playing with the app a little bit, I realized that like putting your bank accounts in there, putting your passports in there, all the things that I've been doing with LastPass for a while, your driver's license, things that you just need to have handy periodically. Password app just, it's not there yet. It's really about passwords.
It's not. Yeah, it's not there yet. Apple Wallet is getting better in that way. If you want to put your passport and your driver's license somewhere, I think the wallet is getting better. I still use Google Drive for a lot of that stuff. The new Google app is better.
Maybe I'm thinking about that wrong. Then you think that passports, and I know my credit cards and bank accounts are over in Wallet. So you're thinking that's where that belongs, and then passwords are just in passwords.
Yeah, I think Apple wants you to use Wallet for IDs, identification, those kinds of things, and they want you to use passwords strictly for web-based
that's interesting.
things.
I hadn't thought about that way.
I mean, the goal is that all of that data lives in the cloud at any time, and you can, whatever device you're using, you don't have to mess with. And so they're trying to keep that password data in characters and not in photos and images, so that it moves really fast and it's real time as you move from one device to the next. So Wallet is really a better option for IDs and that kind of stuff.
You know what I'm going to be doing after this gadget?
Moving everything to Wallet.
I'm going to be taking a look. I use Wallet a lot, but I hadn't thought about that. So
yeah,
cool.
Yep, it's good. Well, man, this was a fun one. This is something we geek out about all the time, so we thought we'd hit record and geek out. And hope you heard something today that's fun for you, and maybe gave you some holiday gift ideas for those you love. And thanks for listening to the Modern Firm podcast today. Have a great holiday season, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, happy holidays, everyone.